The impact was received quite well by the market. For Naspers, on the day, shares were up 9% and Prosus were up 6%. And then just in terms of the assessment, we view the collapse of the cross-holding structure as positive because it removes a lot of the complexities. And as a result, we've decreased the holding company discount we applied, and then that's resulted in an increase in intrinsic value. So for Prosus, it's 1,265, and Naspers it's 3,030. And our recommendations remain the same for both of them. We've got a hold. Just in terms of the results, so on an economic interest basis, revenue declined 5.2%, and that was driven by a 14% decline in revenues from the social and internet platforms portfolio. So that's got Tencent and VK Group. They've since exited the VK Group. And then on the e-commerce portfolio, that increased by 19% for Naspers and 22% for Prosus. And that was driven by a growth in food delivery, payments and fintech, and classifieds. However, so there were still quite large operating losses, and the operating losses widened by about 40% for both companies, and that was driven by the e-commerce portfolio. And then just in terms of earnings, that was driven lower, which was mostly driven lower by the equity accounted results, and those were driven down 44% to about $5.2 billion. And this was driven by a decrease in profitability in Tencent, a decrease in Tencent's contribution to equity accounted earnings due to the sale of shares, a decrease in Prosus's share of associate fair value gains on financial instruments, and then reduced gains on acquisitions and disposals. They also had additional impairment losses of $827 million. And then Tencent itself had revenues declined by 1% and earnings down by 19%. And then finally, the announcement of the intention to remove the cross-holding shares through the issuance of shares by both companies. They will increase the legal ownership will basically align with the economic interest as it currently stands.
Thank you very much for joining us today.